Sundays at 7 p.m., CFTO TV's got the best you can see and award-winning family entertainment. Consider yourself invited to the Keaton household for laughter, warmth, and tears. Family Ties. CFTO TV's the one, Sundays at 7. This is CFTO TV in stereo. Channel 9 in Toronto, Cable 8. It's Saturday, and this is World Beat News, Ontario's #1 news program.
Tonight, Pearson is packed as the holiday crunch is on. Investigators probe a $600,000 Cabbagetown fire. And in sports, Canada beats the Soviets in Moscow.
Now here's Tim Weber, Linny Leon, and the award-winning CFTO News team.
Good evening. Pearson International was packed again today as thousands of holiday travelers passed through the airport. Lineups and frayed nerves were the order of the day as airline passengers waited to be checked in. It's one of the busiest weekends of the year as airport officials estimate 75,000 people daily will take off or land at Pearson. Parking is so limited at Terminal 1 that the airport has waived the shuttle bus fee from Terminal 2. Airlines are advising passengers to be at the airport at least 90 minutes before departure.
Investigators from the Fire Marshal's office are probing the cause of a $600,000 blaze in Cabbagetown this morning. The fire started in a photo lab on the top floor of the three-story building at 60 Shooter Street. Firefighters who first arrived on the scene about 5 a.m. battled the stubborn blaze for most of the morning. Flames burst through the roof and windows while fire crews tried to contain the inferno to the third floor. There was extensive smoke and water damage to the rest of the building. Firefighters and officials from the Ontario Fire Marshal's office were still at the scene late this afternoon.
The number of murders in Metro has now reached 57, tying a record set in 1981 and 1985. CFTO's Mike Jaworski reports the latest killing resulted from a domestic dispute.
A second-degree murder charge has been laid against a 41-year-old Metro man following an early morning stabbing at 14 Cowan Avenue in Parkdale. Police say 24-year-old Sean Everett Turnbull, who lived at this address with his father, died after being injured by a broken bottle. His father, Gary Joseph Brown, has been charged. The killing ties Metro's murder record of 57. But that record will be broken if police determine a woman whose body was found last Wednesday was murdered. 33-year-old Rakesh Magoon suffered multiple injuries and lacerations. The woman, who was a drifter, was found dead in the city's track area, but police don't have enough evidence to conclude if it's murder. And a young Metro man is in hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg after violence broke out at a party at 234 Sterling Road in the Bloor-Lansdowne area. Police say a man opened fire with a high-powered automatic weapon, striking the man just above the knee. Police took 23-year-old Carl Stephen White of Toronto into custody and laid 7 charges against him. Police say the victim had gone to the party with his attacker. Mike Jaworski, CFTO News.
NDP leader Ed Broadbent says he'll welcome any help from the Liberals in opposing the free trade deal with the U.S. Speaking on TV's question period to be broadcast tomorrow, Broadbent says he has not ruled out the possibility of a coalition with the Liberals. Jennifer Reed reports.
At a time when all 3 federal parties are within 10 points of each other in the polls, the chance of a majority government in the next election is debatable. Last week, John Turner was quoted as saying he did not rule out the possibility of a coalition government with the NDP. A coalition is formed by 2 or more parties with members in cabinet. Speaking on CTV's question period to be aired tomorrow, Ed Broadbent said he'd welcome any Liberal support against free trade, not specifically addressing the idea of a coalition.
There's no question of us working with the Liberals. There is every question of us wanting all the people in this country. I don't care if they're Liberals or some dissident Conservatives or social creditors, even in British Columbia, if they can be persuaded to oppose this deal, because I think in the long run it's bad for our country, we would welcome all that support. But it doesn't mean you're working in any kind of alliance.
While Turner remains open to the possibility, Broadbent stresses that his bottom line is to win the election on his own.
Speaking for my party, we are setting out to win the next election. I presume that Mr. Turner is doing the same thing, and even though Mr. Mulroney said 3rd place, I suspect that he is trying to do that as well.
If the two parties did form a coalition, it would not be the first time they've joined forces. It was in 1979 that the Liberals and New Democrats together brought down the Joe Clark government. Today, all that is certain is a promise from both opposition leaders to tear up the trade deal if elected.
The police force in St. John, New Brunswick has walked off the job. The 190-officer force made good on a strike threat just moments ago. The strike began after City Council rejected what the police union had called its bottom-line contract proposal. The city's mayor says it's now up to the province to protect St. John.
The violence racking Israel's occupied territories has spread to Arab East Jerusalem. Mobs of Palestinian youths damaged Israeli buildings, threw stones at police cars, and burned tires. 33 Palestinians were arrested and 4 Israeli policemen received minor injuries. This bout of violence has been described as the worst in Israeli-annexed Jerusalem in over 10 years. It was the 12th straight day of trouble in the Arab land seized by Israel in the 1967 Middle East War. In one section of East Jerusalem, police fired hundreds of tear gas canisters to disperse protesters.
Elsewhere in world news tonight, a feathered celebrity in Ireland is going to be sent home first class. This American bald eagle, found in a field in Ireland last month,